Hello, all you Paladins console fans out there. Welcome into Week 11 of the Console League. Week 11 of Week 13. We're winding down here. I'm Pretty Hair, joined by Dave Dolson Olson here for the first set of the day. Will, of course, be our EU PS4 matchup, Flashpoint versus Stush game. Before we get into that, man, how you feeling about today, man? We're winding down.
Good.
Here.
Yeah, we're actually at a point today where two teams, the EU Xbox team Cyclone, they can officially qualify themselves for HRX, and then NAPS4, you look at Onslaught and Hydra. We're watching the Hydra game. If Hydra loses, no matter what happens to Onslaught, they'll go in. Or if Onslaught win, regardless of what Hydra does, they'll go on as well. And then Flashpoint and Aaron are up top, that first matchup. Flashpoint looking to beat Stush. They've 3-0'd them every time throughout this split. But just to keep that distance from Aaron who have a winnable matchup against Aerial Arise. So that's definitely something to look at as well.
Clinching. That's what all these teams are trying to do here. Some teams take a little bit longer than others. Of course, Hype Unit feels like they've been clinched for like 2 weeks now or something like that. Those undefeated squads can get there very, very quickly. But in these last couple of weeks, that's when everybody else is going to punch their ticket. Like Dave did mention, of course, we do have that Flashpoint versus Stush Gaming matchup first. While it has been a 3-0 in the past, Stush Gaming, it's kind of like the Renegades and NIP.
Yeah.
There's certain teams and certain leagues that they're just like some type of kryptonite for the top team. And Stush Gaming is kind of that for Flashpoint. So we'll see if Flashpoint can keep it tight and move through this one 3-0 like they have in the past. Here are the standings for EU PS4. Of course, the team we were talking about, Flashpoint, is 8-1 up there. Stush Gaming, you'd be surprised to see them 2-7 after how we just talked about them, but it's just a weird thing you got to trust me on at this point.
No, I agree. It's a good kind of correlation you draw to the Renegades in the PPL where, they're 2-7, but they're always kind of in that conversation. I mean, Flashpoint are really just that good, so I think it's not surprising to see all of those, at least this split, be 3-0s. But remember, split 1, they were the only team to take a map off of Flashpoint, and they did it twice. That's way in the past now. Sure. I kind of expect another 3-0 for Flashpoint. It's important for map differential as well that they kind of keep distance from Aaron Bonner. But Stush come to play, maybe take a map, maybe make things interesting.
Map differential can be important down the stretch. Frog Isle, Serpent Beach, gone. Splitstone Quarry and Bazaar will be banned out as well. We'll get right into the map screen here and take a look at what game number 1 is going to be played on now. You probably just watched PPL. Those are best of 7s. This is the Console League. These are only best of 5. So each of these maps, and specifically for me, your map picks matter a lot. Getting that first foot forward, or that best foot forward, I should say, getting that one. And if you can steal away the opponent's map pick, 98% chance you've probably locked up the set at that point.
Yeah, and that's so important going up against a team like Flashpoint. I mean, no matter what, both teams get an opportunity to pick one of their maps, and so often we see with Flashpoint, they'll pick one map, and that's all they get for the entire set because the opposing team forced to pick, map number 3 after losing map number 2. It goes to loser's pick from that point on. But Stone Keep, map number 1, very versatile map. This is a map where a team like Flashpoint can kind of make use of all that, the different dynamic that their team has. Victor, Vivian, Tyra, that's kind of the meta, the OP meta, I guess you could say, for the Console League. You look at a guy like Skeppy, Prosper Logic, the 2 damage dealers for Flashpoint, whether it's Leon, they both can play Leon, they can both play Victor, so that versatility can really be expanded on Stone Keep. You can really drive that point home.
This is an iconic champion for an iconic player on an iconic map. Stone Keep, Prosper Logic's Victor. It's one that will definitely go down in legend here in the Console League. And while Stush Game, if my memory serves me correctly, Stone Keep was one of those maps, if not the map both times that Stush Game won.
I think it was.
That took off of Flashpoint. This is an important matchup despite it being kind of a first seed versus a third seed.
Yeah.
Aaron Monner, Flashpoint, extremely close together in the standings here. If Flashpoint want to stay where they're at, they got to win, and they got to do it cleanly. Those map differentials start to come into play, of course, if there's a tiebreaker necessary. So you want to have all your bases covered. Again, right out the gate, we got the Victor band. Our actual band champions are going to be Genos, Willow, Atlas, and Talus. But we never see him. Still want to see that Talus have that impact.
What's been kind of
gotta earn your spot there.
Talus has been stuck there for however long. Interestingly enough, the Makoa is kind of a conversation that I've started to see arise in the console league where a lot of times not a lot of times, but every once in a while, maybe 50% of the time, you'll see him go unpicked and unbanned, and in this case, not banned out, not picked up yet either. Some teams are just starting to figure out how to play against him. I think that the overwhelming presence of Victor's, Vivian's, Tyra's melt through that Makoa just a little bit quicker.
Right.
Don't see him here yet. Could, in theory, be something Stush go for, but the cheeky 9th pick Makoa, that's not anything I'll ever get used to saying, but maybe in the console league we need to.
Yeah, this is kind of how they do it. They don't, they'll kick it, but it's always late.
Right.
It's always late. And you're right, I think, those Tyras, Vivians, Victors, those are kind of better for dealing with those higher health characters like the Makoas. He's really not the tankiest guy. Makoa actually has a very low win rate across a lot of platforms and a lot of skill levels. It's just about hitting that hook, which, I don't know. It's more or less, I think, unnecessary when you pull in this Vivian who's already chewed through half your health. Maybe you don't want her there. I don't know. There's definitely a couple of great Makoa plays out there, and I think Flashpoint is definitely home to some of them.
Yeah.
Quick thoughts here on the draft, though, for Stush Gaming.
I think Stush have put something together that could counter out Flashpoint. I mean, it's going to be aggressive. What Flashpoint will bring, Stush have to back themselves up and kite.
Let's get it down, guys. Don't keep game number 1.
Here we go. Welcome one, welcome all, of course, to this wonderful PCL Paladins Console League day. Early Monday morning. Of course, that doesn't mean we can't watch some good old Paladins. Now, Nick gets down here with me. What do you think about this Drogoz into the Makoa? His shield's going to play a pretty big part in this fight, and I feel like it's going to be hard for Drogoz to just try and find a way to get in.
The problem, the Drogoz is actually pretty effective, I think, into the triple tank most of the time, but it depends on if Flashpoint control the high ground, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. Being able to equalize and get closer to the Drogoz is going to make things a lot tougher, especially considering the solo DPS in this triple tank is Victor. And this is console, baby. Victor is such a dominant force that I think might be really tough for Stush to break this tanky lineup.
Of course, Prosper's all the way in the back, firing shots at the Drogoz from up above. Now he's looking down at Barrett. He's changed targets, but they've already taken down the Inara. That's already their point take gone. You already see that the Drogoz is backing off. Prosper, though, is in the exact opposite boat. He doesn't want to back off. He wants to see if he can find these lines of sight, get this aggression, and Good Lad is already following up to try and help out.
The Drogoz is doing a decent job, though, at applying some pressure, not getting too overzealous. Tough to know exactly how long you can stay in a Victor's line of sight, but I feel like if anyone would know, it'd be these players.
Here we go.
Dragon Punch trying to come in. What will connect on might be a little overzealous. It looks like he has to disengage, but he's just got a lot of ground off of that.
That's true. They did have to back up. Flashpoint had to respect it. And in this case, of course, we already see that both Prosper Logic and the Drogoz are in a one-on-one engagement right now. But of course, he's going to turn right back. Look at that Inara, toss out a grenade. Not too worried about the Drogoz. They should be worried about this barrage, though, on Stush's side. Already, Drogoz actually comes in immediately, tries to aim with the barrage at him, just ends up falling down directly into him, and Prosper just lights him up.
That was the most enthusiastic barrage I've ever seen, and unfortunately it didn't connect, but Drogoz a little bit overextended on his face there. Ying now going down to the back. Good Lad, good hook onto Nico to deny that shield potential, and it's falling apart now for Stush Gaming. Good positioning, I think, from Flashpoint. Controlling that high ground. Normally, some teams kind of fall off from it, but having that triple tank, I think it's so important for this, and pressuring out this Drogoz, and 75 and counting now. Gonna be really tough for Stush to retouch.
Already, I mean, Drogoz is just in a bad spot. You got 3 individuals that are just staring directly up at him. Stush did not have any teammates that were close enough to be able to try and peel or take the pressure off of him. So he's gonna go down, be staggered out a little bit. Of course, Victor to the top of the damage charts here. That's what's really important to also just show just how good hit scan is, and for the Inara to just be able to walk forward and then get firing squatted on. I mean, at the same time, that's a little bit questionable in its own right.
I was confused about what the wall was meant to do. I think it was to save his backline from getting pressured and got them out, but going down in the process. I'm not sure if that trade really makes it worth it. Victor top of the damage charts currently, and 2 minutes on the clock still while they're in a good aggressive position, and a defensive illusory rift actually gets used. Not sure how useful that's going to be, because look, they're not really doing much of anything with it, and they walk into a barrage.
Oh man, already the Vivian is going to be the first one to go down in this mid-fight right here. I mean, well, really the second if you count the Drogoz that just respawned. He died a little bit before then, but of course, rockets aren't coming out. He's going to be able to at least do pretty well firing at this little choke point, this little room right here to make sure that they eat as much damage as possible. But the payload's still moving. We still got a minute 30, and Flashpoint already has 1 point with a good hook on the Drogoz. If they aim well enough, and they will, they're going to be able to take him off.
Legacy there to clean it up, and now a lot of ultimates online for Flashpoint, but I don't know what they're going to be willing to use here. Looks like Whirlwind's going to be the first one, and it leads to Nico Noob going down.
Okay, but here comes the assert dominance, though. Really on a point, but gets dragged. Okay, well, gets hooked, gets overpowered to deal with that Ashe, of course. At the same time, she is going to go down. Same thing for Drogos once again. He's been having a rough game. They're already staring at the Inara, too. She's going to be the last one left to try and defend. Vivian's just firing, but she literally can't even get in without dying. And that's why I asked the question of the Drogos. Do you feel like it's going to be impactful? Because we don't see him as often on console, which is why I was asking if the Makoa is going to be just better overall.
Well, see, we thought the shield was going to be the problem, but apparently it's the hook playing low enough to the ground, trying to avoid some radars that aren't there and constantly getting countered by the hooks coming in from Goodlad. Gotta say, that was a tough defense, I think, coming out from Stush. The timing on the cooldown to the Inara made that incredibly difficult, and that assert dominance literally could not have been more countered. If a Bomb King spawned into the game to poppy bomb them out of the assert dominance, that was the only way that assert dominance could have had another counter hitting it. There was literally no other way, and Drogo's having a rough time. Decent on the damage charts, but 0 and 5 for Keisho on that Drogos. It's going to be very hard, I think, for them to find something coming in here. They have the Dragon Punch to deal with the Ancient Rage, but I think Goodlad's going to be smart with it. They're actually going to initiate with the Dragon Punch instead.
Oh, yeah. That's actually because Goodlad actually just opened up immediately with the Ancient Rage. Of course, Drogo's just going to fly right at Prosper Logic, and he says, okay, cool. It's, I guess it's hunting season at this point. He's going to be able to take that pesky dragon right out of the sky. Gerber in the back, though, of course, with the con. I mean, Ashe is diving. The shoulder bash actually go in. They're going to pick off Storm Avatar. That's going to be pretty big, an illusory rip just to make sure they can capitalize.
Bit of a mistimed Vine, I think, is what caught Storm Avatar out. Now, Dome Shield used on the point, even with the healer down, just to buy a little bit of time. Legacy has all the cooldowns to get away, and now stalemating again. Healing Flashpoint just coming back now, I believe. Maybe on a flank. Drogo's coming from the keep here. He's really looking at him, though, because they could just ignore him. Now he has to move so far to be able to do something else.
Now Legacy, same time, is also zoning right there. Of course, Drogo's up on the high ground. He's trying to keep an eye on Prosper. Prosper cocks that back to grenade in that case. Tries to throw it back up at the Drogos, but this Drogos is having such a hard time trying to get in. Anar just made it back to point, but, I mean, another frontline just went down. Ashe is gone, and Drogos could be the next one, potentially.
Possibly. He's low up top there and getting chased down by Legacy right now. Goes down to Prosper Logic rotations now. And just Inara.
Wow, okay.
Buying time on the point. Goodlad steals the potential quad away from Prosper Logic and Flashpoint. Head up 3-0 and already in a good position ult-wise too. I mean, used a couple to convert that, but already 60% on Ancient Rage. 2:30 on the clock. 3-0 on the scoreline, and it's going to be tough, I think, for Stush to find their footing.
Yeah, I mean, Prosper's all the way, literally topping the damage charts right now. At the same time, I guess I shouldn't have posed the question whether Makoa is the issue. It should have been, you feel like the victor is going to be a problem for this Drogos, because it is certainly shown 1 and 7. Overall, a rough game for the Drogos. But of course, Prosper, I mean, doing what he does best, playing these hit scans and obviously making it work. The Dragon Punch to go in, but really, I guess it's just a zoning ult.
It was a smart disengage from Flashpoint, pulling back and forcing him into all those sight lines. A little bit of an overextension maybe from Inara, uses the DR super late. They could bully this actually through it and be able to punish her potentially, but Drogo's good. Keisho to spam a little bit and slow them down. Give Tarek a little bit more time to get those cooldowns, but Flashpoint, they're willing to wait. They have 1 minute and 30 left to push this now, so they can take all the time they need.
Exactly. I mean, this has just been the story so far. Logic and just the other two tanks are just tossing grenades. And I mean, Prosper just tossing grenades in that little room, gets so much damage. And you see they're able to at least kill the Vivian, and now Ashe is just stuck, forced to use the assert dominance of the both of them. They're the ones that are actually pretty low. They may have overextended just a little bit, but the barrage followed through onto an already assert dominance Ashe. That's not going to do any damage, followed by the hook to try and drag him off of high ground to at least make it worth, but that's not going to do anything either.
He gets caught on the core. I think what he was trying to do was splash anyone else in the room. That would be my guess, and Dragon Punch tries to come in, but immediately gets cut down by Prosper. That's a lot of damage potential off the table for Stush now. El is buying as much time as he can, but not too much left to do. Has to drop down, and now that top right is completely open.
I mean, the grenades are still being chucked, and Prosper Logic sitting pretty all the way in the back. Of course, Drogo's going to try and use the Dragon Punch, but this is the... he's only hit 1 in the very beginning on Goodlad, and we already see that he's now, once again, in a bad spot. He's dropping so low to the ground, he's not playing the aerial superiority. Flashpoint already 4-0.
It's so tough to figure out when a Dragon Punch is going to be worth it, I think, into a triple tank comp, right? You go and you hit a Dragon Punch, you trade your life for a tank. they got 2 more.
Right.
I mean, you're not really giving that health pool swing that you normally would be in a normal 2-2 game.
I mean, yeah, that's just the power of, I mean, the triple front line it was that they had. I mean, the Dragon Punch, yeah, was going to be used to be able to try and counter out the Makoa, but you made a good point. You get rid of 1, you still got 2 more it is you have to deal with. We're going to take a look at the post game, of course, to see how everybody did this go around. 71,000 damage, 75 for both Drogos and Vivian. And the healing was good on Ying, but yeah, Prosper, man, 110,000, and he's been so consistent on a lot of these hit scans, and that's why he just does so good. And the Drogos wasn't really hitting his mark like that.
I mean, respectable damage, I think, for dying as much as he did apply a lot of pressure that way, but when you get a triple tank comp, if you have to have 1 DPS, Victor, I think, is one you'd be pretty happy with. Prosper doing a fantastic job, as always. I mean,
yeah,
Flashpoint, you expect them to be first picking Victor, I think, no matter what situation. Even with some other teams might prefer some other picks in that spot, but you've seen Prosper play super well, and it showed today. So much control on Stonekeep so far.
Yeah, I mean, Prosper, of course, I mean, you see him right here. He's just flanking around, doing what he can, and once again, that's just the power of the Victor, and you said it perfectly. You pair 3 frontliners together, if there's 1 DPS, especially on console, that you would want to have, it'd be Victor. And you see Prosper really just made that work right there.
Yeah, I think that was definitely one of the dream triple tank compositions for Flashpoint, too. I mean, maybe Atlas instead of one of them, but Makoa Khan Barrack, very high damaging, very high control. Good ways to counter out the Ashe. Ashe definitely has a rough time into that. So I think tough draft from Stush. We're going to have to see what they can change up maybe moving into game 2.
Yeah, hopefully they can change something soon enough, because Flashpoint already with a very dominating 1-0 lead, a 4-0 on Stonekeep. Right after this break, we'll be right into game 2.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Console League. Well, game 1 goes Flashpoint's way, and Dave, I got to be honest, just for a second in that first round, it looked like Stush Gaming might Stush Gaming Flashpoint there on Stonekeep.
Yeah, but then immediately after that moment in the first round, it just completely dissipated. Honestly, I love the way Flashpoint drafted, because it's just, you get the kind of hyper-aggressive triple tank in your face, and then arguably the best Victor player in the world is then kind of free and clear to hang back. It's kind of what you talk about with those hit scans, whether it's Vivian, Victor, sometimes Tyra. If they're able to hang back and free fire, which Prosper was, except he didn't want to. He wanted to move forward with his team. He was playing an aggressive Victor that game. Really just mopped the floor with Stush, and that one was quick.
Trying to get in there with the boys. Ice Mines will be up next. We'll have to see what both teams end up drafting here, but it's just quickly become one of my favorite maps to draft or to watch on, because I think the draft phase is so interesting. You get to see a couple of things that don't necessarily work on another map. This is one of the few combustible Drogos maps that is still very, very strong on. Fernando's better here than probably anywhere else as well.
Agreed.
We'll have to see if they elect to switch it up. I expect the Grover to be still highly contested. I think that's super solid here as well. And if Flashpoint are already picking it and already doing well with it, there's a big opportunity there for them. Stush Gaming get rid of 2 of the automatic rifle characters, still leaving a Tyra available. But I don't know, she's fallen to kind of be the least popular of the 3.
Agreed. I mean, I bring her up in that conversation, Victor, Vivian,
you got it.
Tyra.
Yeah, you got it.
But she's kind of on that weird hinge point where, it's not hunting party every single. You don't get that added benefit of
if at all,
team
really
damage rate. I mean, it's been Burn Monster and Mercy Kill effectively across the board. More Burn Monster than the latter. Willow, great start for Flashpoint. Skeppy, very good Willow player. And it's not. I think Stush are smart to ban out the Victor Vivian, but it's kind of, and this is just the way it is playing against Flashpoint and any of the real top teams that we have in the console league. It's kind of pick your poison. It's not like banning out a Victor or a Vivian is going to, like, maybe it slows them down just a bit, but Willow for Skeppy, very good. If Leon is still around, that's something Prosper Logic is able to play as well. Yeah. So I like the banning of the Victor and Vivian, but I don't think it really changes all that much about what Flashpoint want to do.
They get their Luminary, they get double shielding frontliner as well. Flashpoint just kind of have to draft a shield break, in my opinion, to be in a pretty damn good spot. And even when you look at it, Makoa and Barrack scale pretty nicely with Wrecker, so maybe those 2 could end up doing it. What is this last pick for Flashpoint? So far, it's looked, you know, so far so good, man. That's all I really have to say about that. They get their Grover. They get 2 of the better front lines as well.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's going to be that standard comp for Stush Gaming once more.
And then I like them pivoting to the Leon here because I think if Leon was still up, that's where Flashpoint end up going with their final pick here. Drogos as well. Hit or miss, more so miss on Stonekeeper Chico. Lots of Dragon Punches not finding their target. Combustible likely this time, as you point out. Don't see World War Worm Jets or Fusillade as the pick. But I like the Drogos pick. Strix, that's something we've seen really start to ring out in the PPL, that kind of a win-all. Any map you want him on, he'll do it. Lack of Wrecker a little bit on Flashpoint, that could be, you know, maybe where things fall, but you're right, the frontliners, they can build Wrecker as well.
I feel like Stush are going to run into some stain problems with just Genos. Let's get it down to Ice Mines and see what happens.
Game 2 already happening. Willow, Strix. I agree with Nick. I feel like they're going to run into some issues too. I mean, that's already a powerful composition that you already see on Flashpoint's side. You got the Grover, you've got Barrick, Makoa, Strix, Willow. That's really strong, especially in the Stush.
Yeah, and they're going to, I don't know, Stush's comp is going to try to end the game, I think, or end the fight as quickly as possible. Drogos is a little slow, I think, for that. I mean, Dragon Punch is something, but not fast enough most of the time. Between the Con Ash, you really want to go in, win the fight immediately. Willow has that Flutter DR. Strix has Stealth. So many ways for Flashpoint squishy your targets to just get away and not be threatened by that.
Exactly. I mean, they're doing exactly what I was expecting them to do, which they're pretty much up on the bridge, both Strix and Willow. They don't even want to give the thought to Drogos already, but a good hook. Storm Avatar is going to be the first one to go down, though. And actually, he's the one on the Barrick now. He was Grover last go-around, but now he's flexing a little bit onto the Barrick. However, the Ash is going to have to shoulder bash her way out and make sure she actually doesn't get picked off.
Does that mean Storm Avatar is just like a projectile main?
Yeah, maybe.
Going from, you know, Grover to Tinkerin Barrick? Maybe. Could be possible. Genos is hit scan. Having that flexibility might be good. Flashpoint actually completely disengaged here, but Skeppy, good spam combined with the Strix from Prosper, find a kill into Nico.
Yeah, I mean, now they're going to direct their attention towards the point, as you already see the Skeppy is firing at the Ash. She's going to have to shoulder bash her way out, make sure she actually doesn't die. And Drogos really hasn't had an opportunity to hit a lot of these combustibles. He's been getting pressured a lot just from the pressure of Strix. I already saw a shot whiz by him right there. Of course, he has to wait around this corner, make sure he actually doesn't get hit. Has to play around that door frame very, very well. Another good combustible shot, but already Prosper is in the exact spot you would want him to be in.
Point control relatively even. Kisho goes down. That was a good combustible, knocking the tanks in, but Whirlwind is still up now. Still capping, actually, while being void gripped. No one wants to stop from Stush, and they're just falling to Prosper's aggression.
Exactly. I mean, well, not only his, but you see everybody just running at him. You saw the Whirlwind come out. That was what they needed. Of course, Makoa got void grip, but you already see they're recovering from that pretty quickly. They're forcing Genos all the way back, and the rest of Stush Gaming. However, the Grover does go down. A good presence and some burst damage from Leon is going to at least get rid of their healer, but not before Flashpoint captures the point.
Might just stagger things out, if anything, but Flashpoint can disengage. Good shot by Prosper, too, to kind of slow this push down. They have a couple things they could just spend the flashbang if they want to make it hard for them to push and give their Grover a little bit more time to get back. So much around the corner pressure. I can see Stush really kind of shoving the aggression, pushing it in as quickly as they can, but actually Dragon Punch could be used to maybe potentially disengage some of Flashpoint.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's actually just going to go in, targeting the low health target. Don't agree with that, but he was only going to be able to get the person that was the closest to him. Good combustible, though. Flashbang actually comes out, and Prosper is going to be able to snipe that Drogo's. A good hook, though, and he's going to charge right back in, or at least try to. But Makoa's a little bit too bit of a chunky boy. Can't get past him.
Very big target. I mean, you can block Ash Dash from behind. Just being close enough is enough to do it. It's going to be maybe a little caught out, but that DR, this healing from the Grover, just enough to win that 1v1 versus Tarek. That was the only person behind now, so Flashpoint only have to worry about what's in front, but Leon Drogos, definitely something to be threatened about. But Nico accidentally slides off of the high ground. That's a long rotation, and now Flashpoint basically own that high ground to push.
Exactly. I mean, you already see the Drogos up there, too, with Ash, but at the same time, you see how much coverage they're able to just literally just peek around this corner. Hook goes out, but Dome Shield to get dropped down. The overpower actually comes through as well. That was a good pick onto the Grover. Just going to hold him right up there, make sure he's going to get picked off. He does. Now Flashpoint are down a healer and a Dome Shield.
And they might see if they want to go in there. I mean, Overpower is a lot of utility spent to make that happen. They also use the Fae Flight on Flashpoint's side to try to slow down this push. And again, just buy time for their healer to come back. They're not willing to give up this ground because they know how hard it is to retake it on Ice Vines. Look at this angle from Prosper, too.
Yeah.
Nico can't really push out. Has to use the slide to cross the gap, but now kind of caught in a little bit still. They're going to wait for him to back away, and Skepta might be pushing that corner in just a second.
Already, I mean, Nico's trying to look for at least a good shot onto whoever it is that he finds open, but Flashpoint are playing around cover really well. A good hook onto Nico is going to actually send him to the grave, but they trade off 1 for 1. Avatar and Nico are both gone on either teams right now. Dead Zone drop directly onto Ash, of course, prevent that healing from coming out, or at least not letting it be as strong. They've only got about 10 seconds left on the clock. They've got 1 point, so if Flashpoint actually can't make it, that's going to be completely okay, but they're going to use an Ancient Rage. They definitely want to be able to push this one in.
Legacy a little aggressive onto the con, but gets saved by Good Lad's Ancient Rage. Trying to push around this corner. Might get caught out here. Good hook could lead to the support going down, and that's a lot of sustain out of the picture.
Ash tried to shoulder bash her way out, actually dropped down, knocked them back, but they already had 2 frontliners waiting right behind. I mean, they're going to be able to burst Nico down, and no one else can really touch the point.
Good shot by Skeppy to get rid of Kicho after cap was already put in. That's basically just extra credits, but every little bit of credits matter, honestly, especially, I think, against a Khan. Wrecker so strong against that tank and able to stop his sustain a lot. A little bit of a highlight play from Prosper there. Actually, he's not running any infused crystals, and I find that interesting because I feel like that really is one of the highest value cards you can have on Strix. But those 2 extra bullets, basically 2,400 extra damage per level of that card. Yeah, he's running cooled bags instead, which I guess I can get, but I feel like having just that raw power guaranteed. Every level of that card is another person you can kill without reloading. Straight up.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, I'm actually curious because Stush locks in Drogos for the 2nd time. Second time, his performance hasn't been as
It's
great.
a very different map, to be fair.
Right, true, it is. The same time, though, they are clearly picking it out to counter out this Makoa. But it's not working as much as they wanted to. What do you do to respond to that?
To deal with the Makoa? I mean,
yeah,
again, even on console, that's the downside of letting Makoa through. You have to hope he doesn't hit the hooks, and there's another hook hit up top. Both tanks now down for Stush. They're going to try to use the Dragon Punch, but he can't get through the window!
Oh my goodness, he actually can't get through. He can't fit through that tiny little hole right there. And Makoa's just going to end up picking him off. And Leon, Nico, the rest of them, Stush Gaming, are actually going to make sure they actually have to back off. An unfortunate Dragon Punch right there. Man, oh man, 42%. Already 2 points for Flashpoint. They'll need 2 more to be able to end this, of course.
And look at this bait from Skeppy's Fae Flight, too, going all the way back here, so they have to deal with a different angle than they're used to. Nico can't really go anywhere, and that's the damage more or less out of the fight. Only the tanks now contesting Skeppy so deep in the back. Look how distracted Nico is. That's so much pressure that isn't in the fight.
I mean, Dome Shield gets dropped into the point, and they're definitely trying to pressure Legacy in the back. Nico actually did slide right in as soon as he saw that he was already low. At the same time, though, a good overpower on the Prosper, but Good Lad's killing the rest of your team, man. He already got the good overpower on the Prosper. At the same time, everyone's pretty much peeling back, backing off. Willow's going to be able to get a good few shots, but at the same time, this Khan's actually putting on the pressure.
Skeppy coming back. Skeppy came back from all the way back there. He was behind them the entire time and finally made it back. Good Lad almost has Ancient Rage, so as long as he gets his spin up in time to touch, he'll be able to get this and contest it, but he doesn't use it in time.
He actually just walks right up, tried to use it at the very last second, tried to get as much mileage out of that as he possibly could, but he's just going to end up going down. I mean, we saw it right there, and now Drogos, this is where he can be at. No more Makoa, no more at least as much of a problem. He's able to get a lot of these combustibles and these rockets, and he already has a double kill.
The strength of Drogos on this map cannot be ignored in terms of the pressure. I think he's probably still topping the damage charts with how well he's been playing, I feel. 2 minutes now and counting on the clock. He's close to Prosper, which is scary. Look at this aggression right now from Stush, catching out Skeppy, trying to back up, and a bit of going to be a stalemate potentially, depending on how far they want to go in with this, because this is a rough defensive choke. They might want to lock it down, and actually Storm Avatar might overextend and get picked off.
Right, yeah, but I mean, he's able to back off at least fast enough to where he can, where at least he can't get picked off. And Khan over here, of course, holding it probably with the Drogos, a few other people as well. They're just watching that little corner right there. Good Lad's going to eat a lot of damage. At the same time, though, good combustibles. This is where you see so many of them group up for a good, I was about to say good combustible, but a good through time and space is even better in that case for Genos.
Yeah, grouping up there so tough against the Genos, and Kitchen uses the survival reset to actually double thrust away. Dragon Punch now coming in to try to get the Ancient Rage. You went too far forward. They don't even get the Ash with that. Might be able to get around the corner, and everybody gets to disengage on Stush. Once they get healed back up, they can retake this without a Makoa on the other side.
I mean, Con and Leon are pretty low, though. They're already pretty much getting 2v1 by this Willow right now. Just being a little bit too strong, too much pressure. That Dead Zone's playing such a huge role because they can't really get healed. You already see that on the side. Willow already is going in, but Nico's able to at least pick off Legacy. That's good for him, but they're already losing most of their teammates.
I mean, Nick talked about the sustain here. This is kind of the downside of playing Genos, excuse me.
Yeah.
The entire team was low. Everybody on their team was low, and they had a pick.
Right.
Any other healer, you can top 1 or 2 people off, start pressuring, heal the other people while you go in. You can make that happen. Genos, no can do. There's no option for that burst heal, burst sustain. You're really relying on your damage being able to help you win trades. And the card got close. I mean, they were able to get very, very far with it, I would say. Now that it's backing up, they're losing a little bit of that progress, but they think they found the opening. Storm Avatar, top left alone, only being supported by the Strix, but the long-range poke from Willow and Grover take down Nico.
I mean, on top of that, you can't forget Prosper Logic, of course. Getting that snipe and forcing Leon around that corner, I mean, they're just going to be able to pick him off from long range, just like you were saying, the invisibility, of course, just to make sure he actually doesn't get seen. Of course, he's not really going to move out too far. And they're just really just zoning him at this point. Flashpoint now up 3-1, 3 out of 4. They're going to at least be able to get 1 more point. But I wanted to bring something up real quick, Kresnik, is that you said that that's the problem of Genos, that he can't really heal as much as some of the other healers. He doesn't really have burst. Ooh, wait, hold on. Okay.
Oh, yes, excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was a perfect. I'm so glad this is the clip we have. It's like like when you're putting at the green, the ball's just rolling around the hole, and you're like, come on. That must have been what it felt like.
It's like playing golf with friends.
Yeah, exactly. except he was a cylinder.
No,
and the hole was a square.
Okay.
Tried as hard as he could to make that happen. Ultimates, by the way, I just want to point out that Stush forced out the Dome Shield. That's kind of a win for them, I think, heading into this, because they're going to have all their ultimates, and Dome Shield is nowhere near close. Even Ancient Rage only at 50%. That was countered by the Dragon Punch, which is already charged again for Kicho.
Yeah, I mean, but once again, Flashpoint are really just grouping up right there. Of course, they can't really push out. They don't want to get hit by too many of those that combustible. Dragon Punch is being held, of course. Khan's eating a lot of damage. Oh, if he gets this combustible real nice, he's not going to be able to actually hit anyone because the shield from Makoa, but a good 3 time in space, not only the zone, but to force Good Lad to split up, they're going to be able to get that pick.
Really aggressive as her dominance started that. Look at this pressure from the Ash. No cooldowns left, but she's able to back away. So Avatar, very, very caught out here, and for Leon, doesn't even need to really aim those last shots. Valor finds that last hit there, and
nice.
Gets that trade, but is it enough for Flashpoint to be able to retake?
Oh, they're using a Dragon Punch. They want to keep going. They want to at least keep the aggression. Or, well, actually, no. I like this a lot. He's using the Dragon Punch to zone them out so they can't get back to point, even if they wanted to be able to contest. I like the usage of that. They're going to be able to get overpowering a Good Lad, force him off the side, and that's going to work out for him pretty well. I like that.
Just the start of a stagger, and not having Dome Shield, I think, to slow down the aggression up top was massive. Legacy continues to go down. It makes me wonder about this swap. Was it a for fun thing? Because I feel like it might be really punishing them. I feel like Legacy is getting caught out in a lot of situations, trying to rotate away, getting burnt by either spam from the Drogos or just the cleave damage from the Leon's presence. Now he's back up to try to hold this again, but not sure if he'll be able to live if they find another angle on the left side.
I mean, of course, they're just going to be able to hold this this hallway, this little alleyway right here, because that's where it is that they can be at. But we already saw the problem before. It's this long-range poke they got, man. I mean, Nico and Tarek going to have a hard time even trying to get in. And with the Grover right there, he's just going to be able to keep everybody healed up, keep everybody juiced up to make sure they can keep on fighting. Combustible actually comes through, gets the hit, but you see it gets healed right back up with Grover, and they cannot get past this point.
The long-range poke, great hook, actually.
Oh, man.
Onto the Drogos should end up in a kill. What I was going to say was that long-range poke is fantastic on defense.
Right.
But when you're on the mid, it's not really hitting the same way.
Right, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's hitting, but it's not really doing the same pressure that you need it to. And that fight, pretty clean wipe, I'd say, from Flashpoint, walking straight across onto them. Now going to get onto this this is a much better position, I think, for the long range. Prosper leading the push, and you can see why. Look at this deep angle he's able to take.
Yeah, I mean, right here is where the problem ensues, because of the fact that you're mounted, you're trying to get back to point. And at the same time, you could just get shot from anywhere. That's why they actually delayed their push at the same time. There's a lot of dismounts. Tarek's really the only one that's really pushed up that far forward. The rest of the team are going to be able to follow up, though. It's going to be enough to at least force them back. Prosper Logic, once again, just taking these angles, making it hard for them to hit him, but not making it hard for him to hit them. But the good enlightenment, though. Good snipe coming out from Nico, and that's going to open up the door for sure to be able to pick off their healer like that.
Yeah, and no sustain on that comp, I think, is going to make it tough, especially since everyone on Stush is healed, and that means the Genos benefits are going to definitely outweigh the downside. Storm Avatar goes down in the top left. Good combustible top right to apply a little bit of pressure, and good lad very, very deep onto Tarek right now, but not able to find anything. Finally, Skeppy finds a trade, but
oh my goodness,
they just don't contest the cart.
I don't know what ended up happening right there. I mean, I saw Good Lad on the side right there at the same time. I mean, it was so difficult. Just in general, yeah, look at the snipe, the little montage right here, of course. Prosper just being in such a good spot up on this bridge, but at the same time, I wanted to at least bring up this question before, because of the fact that, you know, we see it once again. Is that really, because Tarek was able to keep, not Tarek, but the Genos in this case, was able to keep Tarek alive, the Khan alive, for at least just a little bit longer. Here's the thing. Is there at least some sort of, like, because you mentioned that it's harder for Genos to be able to actually try and bring out that healing. Or do you think that's because of the fact that that's just like a Genos thing, or it's because Skeppy is on Willow? They're having that Willow to be able to
that's just a Genos thing.
That's just
I'm
entirely
just saying in
a Genos
general,
thing?
he just can't, Genos can't spread heals. I just want to point out the stat line. Everyone on Flashpoint, 3, 3, and 4, and then the 2 players who swapped have 8 deaths and 10 deaths, respectively. So if anything might be contributing to Flashpoint struggles, that could be it, but they're playing a very different mid-fight this time. Kind of aggressive in the bomb, still clumped, but they see it coming. No way to hide it. He peeked around the corner going, by the way, I'm going to ult you.
Yeah.
Please move. Okay, bye. And off of that, Good Lad catches the Drogos in the back line.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they're able to at least get the Drogos, but now they're going to be able to get a little bit more. I mean, Legacy has been getting picked up. It's either a testament to Tarek's positioning or just the fact that Legacy is just not as good position. He keeps getting overpowered. At the same time, though, the Ancient Rage is really one of the only things they have left at this point. And once again, Nico, of course, is on the side watching Good Lad. He was able to get the kill onto the Ashe. At the same time, though, they've still got Enlightenment. They've still got Dragon Punch. They still have ways to actually zone them out. At the same time, it's going to be hard for Flashpoint to even try and make it back.
I think they might be able to. Barracks right here, they push them back off of the point. Fayflight actually used in the back line, but Legacy, again, caught out. You can heal through walls, man. You don't need to peek like that.
At the same time, though, on the side, actually, Skeppy, Storm Avatar, both of them getting 1 kill each, 33%. That's looking pretty good. And with the position it is that they're in, I mean, they could use the dead zone. They can utilize a lot of their tools. They have the Flutter as well. I mean, he's going to be able to have DR in case he wants to dive. They're getting a good zone going. We see Ashe actually charge at the Makoa on the side.
She might have Flashbangs, the only ultimate coming up for Flashpoint. Enlightenment and Dragon Punch up for Stush. 84 and climbing on the objective. They need to contest soon. They send the Khan and the Ashe in and the Drogos.
Man.
That's a triple stack on the point, but it looks like it was a great trade. Nico finds 3.
Oh, wow. That's going to be absolutely insane. He hit the Enlightenment, got 2 of them, and then he's able to pick off 1 of them. That was absolutely phenomenal, especially to pull that off as soon as it was like they coordinated that so well. They pushed them all back at the same time.
That was the fastest turn from, I think Stush are going to... Oh, no, Nico just wiped their entire team. Oh, what am I thinking?
Right.
Like, how could 3 people on point possibly go wrong? And apparently 4 people clumped up behind the points, even worse. Flashpoint kind of abused there at the end by Nico. What a good dive at the end.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, Drogos is actually doing really, really well this go-around. Prosper was too. 113,000, 111,000, 95 for Skeppy. Same time, though, the healing for both Grover and Genos has been really, really good. But Legacy, I mean, you pointed out before, Storm Avatar, Legacy, both of these guys, they swapped. Not looking too good.
Yeah, definitely rough going down 13 times. I mean, Flashpoint was able to hold strong, still low deaths across the board, even without healing a lot of the time. But you got to give it up for Nico, honestly, on Stush.
Same.
I mean, 18 and 9, pretty, I think, phenomenal performance, especially considering they were kind of just like holding back and punishing the aggressive tanks. But Nico able to really come into his own, I think, on these defensive trades, and able to find Prosper here on this mid, I think is huge. Not having Strix damage in a fight, it's so much damage. Being able to get rid of him fast is huge. And now we can see this from Nico's POV, this final dive, last fight.
Exactly. I mean, you see the Dragon Punch being used in zone, actually hits the Enlightenment in that corner. Yeah, I saw him all group up right there, and I'm like, oh, that had to be the Enlightenment. Then I see the 50% refund, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, he just hit it, no problem.
That was beautiful. If I could close my eyes and just listen to the hit markers on that Enlightenment, I think I could go to sleep, like right now. I think it's just that good.
Right. Yeah, just out.
Yeah, as in I'm calm, not as in it was boring. It was a sick play. I'm not trying to downplay
It was
anything
sick. It
at
was
all.
sick.
It was sick.
It was sick.
And
It
it
was
led to
really
Stush
good.
taking a map off a Flashpoint. I mean,
Yeah.
that's big. That's a great adaptation, I think, from how Game 1 went.
I agree. 1-1. At the same time, Stush is looking really, really phenomenal already. But of course, there's still plenty of more PCL to go. Right after this break, we'll be right into Game 3.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins console league.
Well, Stush Gaming managed to steal an entire map away from Flashpoint, and after some questionable, at best, roll swaps there, Dave, we've got a couple of members of Flashpoint turbo feeding. Double the amount of deaths of the rest of the team. I think that's a pretty easy diagnosis.
He was, what, 2-13 by the end of that game. Legacy on Grover. And everyone else on Flashpoint was double positive, kind of top to bottom. I forgot who it was. Towards the middle of the team was another relatively negative slash line.
Yeah,
but 10-5, 10-4 for everyone else, and then healer and frontliner not quite hitting their mark.
Avatar and Legacy.
That's your swap right there.
Yeah.
But regardless, Stush played it better. Massive play at the end on the way
was
on.
a juicy enlightenment.
I agree with Kresnik. that's like good enough that it's just oddly satisfying. It'll put you right to sleep. Beautiful play there. Just more consistent on the DPS for that Leon. We'll have to see what they adapt to on Brightmarsh, though. Not banning out the Vivian and Victor or Stush, so I imagine that's high priority here for Flashpoint.
It is all open, and now it's a question of, do you still need to first pick this, because it comes down to whether how bad you want Victor, I guess I should say, right?
Not the powers
I doubt Victor and Vivian would be grabbed by Stush Gaming, but crazier things certainly have happened. Flashpoint want to cover their bases, and they make sure to grab the Lone Wolf first.
Yeah, I think the roll swaps into the map loss is like, all right, let's get back to basics here. Let's win these next two and move forward. I mean, I mentioned maybe Stush, if they're playing well enough, they grab themselves a map win. I still, you can't bet against Flashpoint. It's 1-1. Maybe Flashpoint gets down back to brass tacks with the next two. Grabbing a Victor is a great way to start
maybe
that
they
off.
forgot to switch in the draft phase.
They just didn't swap things back, maybe. We're assuming everything, but, they actually swapped. Grover Willow, though, for Stush. It's a good stack here for Brightmarsh.
They made that conscious choice. That's just not on the table. That's not in the discussion right now.
Right.
For what we thought could have happened there on Ice Mines. Flashpoint are going to lock in. Looks like Makoa as well as Inara. Pretty criminally underused character, Inara, on console, especially when you look at those Bright Marshes, Jag Falls. Even Ice Mines, I think she's really, really good on Ice Mines. There's a couple of those maps where you get that really good, pristine wall at the right time. You're netting yourself either guaranteed kills or guaranteed 20-25% on the capture point.
And Brightmarsh especially, that's a great point to bring up in that, there's a lot of entrances in the sense that there's 4 to the point.
Yeah.
But kind of the way these fights go, you're trying to contest from the entrance on your team's side. So this is a very effective map to use those Inara walls. So I like Flashpoint pivoting to her here.
There's 4 entrances, like really only 3 get trafficked, right?
Yeah.
One downstairs, one doesn't really see
Not
a
really,
lot.
right.
Your team holds one, the wall gets one, and you Warders field the other. And then you're pretty much done and dusted. There's no real way to get in there.
Your family isn't safe.
Especially when you look at Ash and Barrack, who are very susceptible to kind of being body blocked.
Yeah, I really like what Flashpoint draft here. I mean, Ash, Barrack, very reliant on those shields. Vivian, Victor, two great champions for building Wrecker on. I imagine as this game goes on, those barrack shields, the Ash shields are just going to get absolutely melted. I like Flashpoint going back to something a little bit more standard here. We'll have to wait and see if the roles stay swapped, but I like their draft.
Stush's comp can certainly work. It's just going to be a lot harder, I think.
Agreed.
If you look at that Flashpoint draft, inflame it and let it go. And you've probably got that one wrapped up. We'll have to see, though. Stush Gaming, very resilient today. On down to Brightmarsh for Game 3.
Hey, Krisnik,
Yeah.
you think based off of Flashpoint's draft, they might be a little bit upset about losing last game?
I was thinking potential. I mean, Makoa, Furia, Victor, Vivian, and Inara. I mean, Inara's fantastic on this map, as Nick was just saying. That's spooky. I would not feel too thrilled about being on the other side of it. Especially, I mean, an interesting pick by Stush. It is Kinessa on Brightmarsh, kind of a running gag, and with some people I know in the scene in general in the PML, Stigma has pulled it out before, and I know that we talked about it on Bork and Draft a little bit, but has some potential, but on console against this draft that Flashpoint's pulled out, I struggle to see where it's going to be able to really get away with almost scoping up at all.
Right. I mean, we've seen it before, of course, in PPL too with on Ninu. He was able to pull out the Strix here before, but already a good opening headshot all the way in the back from Nico. A better hook coming out from Makoa, though, but a shoulder bash to knock him back. He's going to shell spin his way right out. And, of course, they're just going to be able to melt Ash.
Rough to watch that really tight angle, I think, on Nico. So tough to keep that locked down because there's so much cover they can use. And knowing he's there, they have this indirect fire. They're on the sensor drone. Nico has to unscope just to shoot it, at least to turn fast enough to be able to shoot it. And 84% and climbing for Flashpoint. Have to be able to touch. Stush does, but a wall's in the way. No answer to it, really.
Yeah.
That's why Inara is so powerful on this map. You can lock down those chokes so effectively. We'll see how well Flashpoint can clean up Stush here.
They've already capped the point. It already looks like they're cleaning up pretty well, especially since Vivian is able to find that opening kill on the side right there. But Nico's able to respond his own way by making sure he gets a headshot, picks off Skeppy in this case, and make sure that he's down as well. Already 1-1. Both of their teams have to make sure, well, at least both these respawning players have to get back to their team, but Prosper is able to pick off Nico. I mean, this is the power of double hit scan, especially on console. Good window peek, though, of course, coming out from the Willow. Is able to actually pick up that kill.
Legacy a little bit disconnected from everybody else because of the positioning of Kicho, but I think that was more the Willow playing and positioning well than the Inara positioning poorly. That's definitely where he should have been. Just a little bit caught out at the end. LL now by Good Lad there on the side.
Oh, man.
Trying to trade into that Kinessa, but if they hit the first headshot, it's tough. Furia, though, great for getting your team back into the fight immediately. Look at this pressure from Good Lad and Prosper on the side. On the back of an in-flame, Nico's going to go down, and it's not going to be the last one.
Of course. I mean, you already see that he's in this window position. He just looks up, manages to pick off Willow, and now he's going to be able to at least charge in and look for another one. He's already going for Ash. He's really the only one that's being able to push up. But thankfully, the rest of the team sees how aggressive he's being, sees him peeking out that window. They're going to be able to follow up as well.
Yeah, and 5-0 start for Prosper. Really good, I think. Really good aggression from the tanks, too. The staggered kill onto LL is going to be really big. Getting staggered on Bright is tough. No one's on the cart? Okay, they're pausing. There's something like that happening. I was saying, I saw nobody moving the cart. I'm assuming maybe the healer just had to do something. Get up, mow the lawn, take in the groceries, you know. It happens.
Sorry.
Pretty early. Mom's back from the grocery store. But no, the aggression there, the stagger that they managed to do on Brightmarsh, it's huge because it's so tough to defend that map once you get around that last corner. You really only have the tree for cover as a tank, and that's kind of like playing hide and seek, but you're too big for the pole. And you're like,
Yeah, like the Shaq meme.
sitting behind
like
it.
where
Yeah,
you're standing behind
exactly,
his leg.
exactly. That's what it feels like
Yeah.
sometimes. You also can't contest the payload from back there, so really little cover, very tough. You kind of just get melted because you're the only target that's really being presented to the enemy team.
I mean, of course, Stush has like about 4 ultimates up. I mean,
That's
they've
true.
got the Dome Shield. I believe they had Faith Flight. They have Whirlwind. They have a few things that is they can actually maximize on at this point. But once again, they are, I mean, Flashpoint is just being so aggressive. They've got the Fury, of course, to be able to open things up with that in-flame. And we saw how good it did. I mean, I saw the Makoa get the hook, and I was like, my goodness, that just chunked most of her health. And Prosper just peeked, and he was like, okay, cool. Picks him off, looks up at Skeppy, picks him off. It's like, it was rough, man.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was surprised they went with Kinessa in the face of the aggression. Yeah, potentially Kinessa can teleport away when she's getting pushed, but Strix can also just flashbang, and that's super effective at stopping that. But the counter snowball potential is big, especially with Headhunter, popped by Nico to try to slow things down, and buying a little bit of time for his team, I think, is just what he needed.
Of course, Prosper in the same spots that you would always expect him to be in, just on these sides where it's hard to actually be able to try and fight him back, especially with the rest of his team just being able to support him in the way they are. Vivian pops the Sentinels, though. She getting a little bit too much damage. Of course, she has to back up, but thankfully, Prosper was able to finish off the kill, or at least the damage it was that Skeppy had did. And my goodness, all those headshots just melting one after the other, dude. It's so hard for them to position in a way that doesn't get them just mowed like this.
ALL tried to reposition, but he ended up shoulder bashing into a beam. He caught a beam mid-travel from the dash. Unfortunately, gets him picked off. And Tobson healing everyone up top, but this is the Brightmarsh thing. Unable to drop down really to heal his tank. Both tanks now, they managed to get healthy. Tobson, I think, gets that one Blossom in. Faithfly now coming in to equalize 2. Vivian pushed so far back, but Stush, it's just a safe face at this point with the Ancient Rage coming in on the side.
Overtime is still ticking down, but of course we got the in-play. We've got Seismic Crash, we've got Ancient Rage. All the ultimates that Flashpoint had are now up on the board, and they're utilizing them. Already 3 kills, 3 members of Stush down. Knessa peaks. The Willow's gonna try and go in to at least contest, but who else can touch?
Nobody, not with the spawn timings. Also a wall in front of the door if they had come up in that time. And I think it's very smart to use your ultimates there. It's I've mentioned this before, but when you're at 1 point going to potentially go up to 2-0, if you just use your ults for that cap, the next mid-fight, even if you lose the point after that, it's either even or it's going to be 3-1 and you'll have double comeback moving forward from there. No matter what, there's no way it can cause you to lose the game. So I think good ideas from them. Prosper practicing his gymnastics a little bit there on the side.
Waving, of course.
Roaming emote in spawn. And I think we're seeing some of the weakness of the Knessa on Brightmarsh too.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw how well Flashpoint was playing those angles. We were on Nico's POV for a while, and the amount of blue in his scope was really only outlines through the walls.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's also a testament sort of to just not only the Knessa pick, but at the same time how well they're positioning. Because, I mean, you see situations like this where literally Barrick runs on the point, and he's like, all right, guys, don't worry. I got this one. And Prosper and the rest of them are just like, really, do you? Are you sure? And then he gets melted like
Vivian.
that. It's literally just, he has to push back immediately. They get the double kill, though. And by double kill, I mean they're going to get it on both their front lines, which is good. But, of course, you got the same situation. Like, both Prosper, both Skeppy are already back just with the Fury. Where else do they need to be?
Also, with double comeback, you want to be capping like almost 100% of it.
Right.
You have to maximize the amount you get. What should be a 70 to 75% lead is now only 40 because of Stush's inability to have someone on the point at all times. Now we're at 62 and climbing, but they're going to have a way for sure to be able to contest it. Inara now going in. Great aggression from Goodlad. Might also get ALL caught out here.
Oh, but a good barrage, though. But he gets hooked. So he's going to have to at least change targets, but can't find what he wants to. He just dumps it immediately all onto point. They're going to be able to pick up the Inara again. A Faithfly Secret Stick had a heart attack.
I grasped my chest because I thought he just
he thought he was going to face. Yeah, he thought he was going to flutter off the side of the map. I'm sorry. Okay, regardless, they are going to be able to find the kills as they need to. But Skeppy is good. I just saw you freak out, and I was like, what? And I was like, oh, right, yeah, he thought he was going to fall off the side of the map, but he had Faithfly.
That Faithfly really didn't find much of anything, though. I mean, Flashpoint able to retake and fight this. Only Goodlad going down, but 51%. They're gonna not. I don't know if they're gonna be able to contest, depending on how Prosper Logic positions here. If he can stop, if he can knock these people off their mount, stop the potential touch, and look, everyone's dismounted. The tank's so late to fall.
Oh, my goodness.
There's really nowhere for them to go in. 13-0 so far for Prosper, and that's why that Victor first pick really always pays off for Flashpoint.
I mean, first game he goes undying. Third game he at least is looking like he's going to be going undying. And a good hook from Goodlad is going to at least leave a kill on Nico at the same time. Look at how far forward they are. Look at both Victor and Vivian do what they do best. Everyone's playing Paladins. They're still playing Call of Duty.
So aggressive here, and staggering ALL was massive. Now, actually, they could potentially stagger the Barrack here, too, if they really want to try to go for it. He is stuck on the ground. The card still has a ways to go. Barrage used to try to stagger out somebody else, but they're hiding pretty effectively. Good flutter to stay alive at the last moment, but still just a slow game here. They don't want to push too far into the Knessa sightlines, and slowing down the game was, I think, what the Knessa wanted to do, but once it gets to that final corner, there's just too much cover for Flashpoint to play.
There's a good hook, though, once again from Goodlad. He's going to land the assert dominance, but he's really just going to... Goodlad was in a spot enough to where he couldn't actually be stunned by that assert dominance, so now they're just going to give him respect, wait till it runs out, and this is going to happen. They're just going to walk back up, be like, cool, it's done now. your invincibility is at least, well, it's not invincibility, he's taking the least little bit amount of damage. You're going to be able to at least get that kill, though. Dome Shield immediately to try and zone out Good Lad. At the same time, they're doing so well, though. Flashpoint has just been going through this aggression, and they're not stopping.
Without a healer, too. I mean, Good Lad basically used Ancient Rage just to heal himself, and now running away in the backline. Keecher chases him down, but was it worth? They gave up some good positioning there. Maybe they trade up for Skeppy, and they do. So good defense so far from Stush.
I mean, they're able to at least throw the ceilings out there. They're at least able to get the dead zone off, so they're definitely zoning them out really well in this case. I mean, Stush is just trying to find their chance at life here. I mean, they're forcing them back, but that's only going to delay them a little bit. They've got the Inflame, and when you start off with a hook like that, it's going to put them all at least in the danger zone right here. The Whirlwind actually comes out to try and keep them alive, but it's not going to be enough because they're going to be able to pick off the Ashe. They're going to be able to pick off the Barrack, the Grover. Now they're looking at the Kinessa and the Willow. They're going to be able to push this in for sure, especially with a hook like that.
I mean, only DPS is up. No one's really going to contest the card. Headhunter, just to feel good about themselves as they go down 2-1, because Flashpoint roll that in on the back of really good staggers on those tanks.
Yeah, I mean, I brought up in the beginning about the composition, and clearly this is why it works. I mean, you see a situation where it is so hard for Stush to find even ground, even footing, because they can't. They're literally just getting melted every single time that they have a chance. I'm sure we'll see it in the post game right here too.
I mean, they had a great comp, I think, for trying to slow the game down and getting aggressive when they need to with ALL, but what Flashpoint was bringing to the table was just so impactful. 14-0 for Prosper Logic, just one away from an annihilation. Not something you see every single day. Storm Avatar on the Furia, dying more than anyone else on his team, and I think that's just trying to play into a sniper. Like, you have to peek to heal your team, and sometimes it's rough. Stush Gaming, though, across the board. Ashe maybe trying to get a little bit too aggressive. 1-11 for ALL.
I mean, we've already seen, like, where he was positioned. Of course, it was really well, but he always stayed next to his DPS. I mean, both Skeppy and both the Vivian and the Victor, I mean, they were just all the way in the back. They were free firing, and then he was like, okay, is it time to inflame? Yep, it's time to go to work. All right, cool. Inflame right here, pop, and then everyone's ready to go in now.
I will say his beams were super impactful. Storm Avatar, I think, definitely putting on a really good performance after the Barrack game last time. Good change up, and we saw some sick beams again. You never see this. An Ashe caught mid-dash with a beam, perfectly aimed by him. So much pressure from Furia in general that they have, that hit scan damage on a support that's constantly able to be in a position to apply it while being relatively safe. It's really huge. That's why she's kind of been in the meta now. Inflame plus that damage bring more to the table than just the healing.
Of course, I mean, you have the situations where you're trying to look at, well, who can sort of replace these damage amp characters? And I shouldn't say really replace. I'm just trying to say who else could really fall into this new sort of freeform meta it is that we've been seeing across everything, across PC and the consoles as well. But Flashpoint, 2-1, looking pretty good against Stush Gaming. This could be their last game for Flashpoint. Well, either it will be or it won't be. We'll have to see right after this break.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Console League.
You look away just when they pull it. You gotta step up, yeah, you miss your your time is up now. I'm no fool. I know what you are up to, keep things cool, but it won't help you this time. This time, no, this time.
Back on track there in game number 3 for Flashpoint. Everybody playing their proper and assigned roles, and I think doing much better for it.
Yes.
You can still frag on the support, on the Furia specifically. I mean, one of those replays, that poor Barrack basically got 100-0. The Enflaming Furia is not to be slept on, man. That is basically a Luminary Leon running around.
No, I think that is the perfect Flashpoint draft that we see. I mean, maybe you sub in a Leon, but as far, maybe potential, the Flashpoint potential is highest in a draft like that, where you get Skeppy and Prosper on arguably the two best damage dealers for them. They can sit back, pour out the damage, and then everyone back on their normal roles. This is what you look at for Flashpoint. Right back on track, as you point out.
Love it, man. Love what I'm seeing from Flashpoint when they're kind of in their assigned roles. This is a squad that has a chance at LAN, right? This is a very, very tried and true and almost in the realm of like the console super team, right? With Skeppy playing over
That's
here.
right.
This is going to be a big deal at LAN. People want to see big things from Flashpoint. I don't want to see them dropping games here in week 11 to the third place team, right? I want to see them locking this down and getting ready to kind of crush it at the world stage where those expectations are going to be heightened. Victor banned out, quickly learning their lesson again. It's a tough one to deal with here against Flashpoint, but a lot of things are, so they get rid of the Vivian as well. This is a draft that this is kind of how the Ice Mines draft started.
Yes,
and
agreed.
I didn't think Stush did a great job with the Genos. I don't think that was really the reason that they won, but it's less bad here on Jaguar Falls. I don't think Genos is very good on Ice Mines, period.
No, I think better look here for Genos for sure for Stush. I was gonna say for Flashpoint, I mean the damage dealers, of course, the conversation I've been having. I was expecting the Leon. They're gonna pick it earlier this time because, again, drawing some similarities to Ice Mines. Stush grabbed the Leon later on in the draft to kind of counter out some of that direct damage presence that Flashpoint was looking to have. And then Stush, now sensing that Skeppy likely was gonna pivot to the Willow, is gonna grab that for themselves because a lot of that, I mean, with Genos, if you're able to land a good dead zone with a Willow, it not really all that great. To have a Genos trying to re-heal you up on the back end of maybe some good burst damage.
I think if you want to get one end of that exchange, though, I think I'd rather have the Leon.
Sure.
She's, on paper, probably the better answer to Willow than Willow would be to Leon.
Yep.
As well as, I like Willow. I think she's super strong. You can't really argue that. But on Jaguar Falls, I just don't really feel it a lot of times, right? There's not enough good high ground to want to hold, especially around the point. I guess that's what I'm really kind of talking about here, is holding that cat seems very dangerous. Any of those other like little baby curb high grounds often don't feel like enough, and it's very easy to get snuck up on and just blasted in those rooms. So we'll see how it goes for the Willow. Answering with a Lex and an Ashe. Also not a very common part of the equation here is the Lawman, but if there's one map to run it on, it's probably here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works. You get a little of that execute with the Law. I mean, goes through con shields in this case, depending on what Flashpoint grab for their last pick. I think it's a good pivot around. They're going to pick the Makoa, at least hovering it into the Lex. I think it's fine. I think that this is kind of back to that hyper aggression that Flashpoint bring. I think there are some advantages that Stush have, but at the end of the day, I don't know if you can really ever bet against Flashpoint.
Yeah, with so many characters kind of out there and viable now.
Yeah.
It seems like you got to really just identify styles, right? This is that Stone Keep style of draft, or this is that Ice Mine style of draft. There's too many characters now to identify it by a character basis. We'll see if they can get back to their roots here. Flashpoint with the chance to close it out.
I mean, Furia definitely has her work cut out for her, not just because of the fact that she's trying to heal 3 tanks, but also the fact they have a Willow on their side. How do you feel about that triple frontline being drafted into Willow? That must make it hard for them, right?
If they just walk into them, the dead zone won't really matter. I think that's kind of the idea and why they're willing to play this Furia with the triple tank. I mean, Inflame, the whole point of why you used to run triple tank Tyra, right? Give your tanks more damage. Inflame does that, and it pretty effectively too. Plus the speed's going to make it very, very aggressive, I would say. Not choosing to go Soul of Blessing. They want to have those stuns, and after how good the stuns were last game, I don't think I can disagree with it.
I mean, Legacy already pushing up, but he throws out the ceilings, of course, to make sure that no one else can actually just move forward right from behind where Legacy is, right behind the point. The Fire Striker ends up coming out. Lex dashes in along with the Ashe to try and get that zone. They get the zone, try to see if they can get a kill on Goodlad. Not going to work out the same, though. They're going to come right back around that corner. They're just there, but at the same time, who else on their team is able to help them when they're up that far?
No one was watching for the flank, and being able to just dive on a target and pick them off without going down themselves is why this triple tank is going to be so good. Goodlad gets very low, but saved at the last moment. He has a dash up too. Chooses not to use it to try to catch Tarek out. So reliant on his team, and I mean, Flashpoint, they've been around a while. Good to have that much trust because it pays off.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're looking at a situation now where you try to go off to pick, or at least you try to move up to pick Goodlad. Literally can't do it because of how much peel they have for him. They move back immediately. They're able to capture the point because of it already with a 1 point up on the board for Flashpoint. I mean, Jag Falls, I mean, if there was any map that I feel like that Flashpoint would be good on, it'd be this one with their aggression. Already, look at that.
Yeah, the great hook through Secret, able to pick off Kicho and trying to pressure, I think just to delay the card a little bit more. Alof so deep, gonna go down, and Everyone on Flashpoint doing a fantastic job of staying alive and finding those picks. Good Lad especially, very aggressive. Very, very kind of towing the line of what you can get away with. We saw before 600 HP, not afraid, not using his dash in the face of death's worth of damage. And now Flashpoint setting up in a very solid position. Prosper in one of the best positions for a backline, I would say, in the game if your tanks are in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, Prosper on the side right here, of course, just watching, along with both Leon and Khan. Both lore buddies together are watching to make sure no one else can flank around. A good inflame, though, to actually follow up through time and space to see if they can get a pick, but they at least find the damage on the Skeppy. Good Lad, though, is going to have no problems picking up that Lex for a kill. They're able to get rid of the Inara, but you got rid of one front line. You got two more to worry about already. Good Lad's on the side, of course, still not backing off despite the fact they already lost one of their members, and a good hook to open it up. They could get a kill, but he's going to be able to get right back out.
Just barely failsafe, keeping him alive with that second shield dash reset. But they still want to take him down. Seismic Crash comes in, but no one else is there. It was only the Inara putting on damage. Finally, the Ashe comes back to actually peel for Tarek, but Tarek doesn't use Dome Shield in time, goes down to Prosper. That's going to be so hard for them to be able to sustain on the cart.
Prosper has just been free-firing back here. There is nothing that I felt. I mean, they had to deal with Prosper at some point. He literally, that entire fight, I don't know if he received a single point of damage from how far back he was. He was just shooting. If anything, it may have accidentally been from a barrier, is what I feel
If anything, I feel like that's just the power of triple tank, right? You have the Khan locking down Hut, you have the Inara contesting the point, Makoa is locking down that secret left side from Prosper's point of view. How does anyone get through? There's really no way. Not only that, but the Furia damage chipping away at anyone who tries to dash past to get into them so much, and this was the moment that Good Lad definitely was playing a little bit with fire there, but you can tell his team rotates over to help him, and it's looking rough for Stush for sure. I liked the Lex ultimate that they used a little bit earlier. I think having that against triple tank is really good if everybody gets low, because Furia's heals are a little bit sporadic. You might be able to find some value out of the Law, but they're going to need to find a lot more than that if they want to turn this into some points.
Oh, they have to use Dome Shield almost immediately to zone him out. At the same time, though, a wall goes up. They're going to be able to block out both Skeppy and Legacy. At the same time, they're going to give him a little bit more respect. And Prosper just all the way in the back. He's been free-firing. He's going to actually change targets to this Lex. He knows he can't kill the Ashe immediately with a certain dominance. They're all going to back off, but a good overpower. He's literally backing up, staring at you directly like, all right, well, okay. I'm just going to back up.
I think that was the real dominance that got asserted there. Let's be honest.
That's what I'm saying.
Good Lad coming back in, but no one has a chance to touch Stush. Uncontested the entire time. They were so worried about the back that the objective just goes straight to them, and Flashpoint are going to win this refight and get an aggressive zone, but giving up a point on the back of that, that was a lot of pressure from that Ashe that just couldn't be answered.
Good Lad, of course, is just on the side, trying to make sure he can zone out this Barret. He's going to drop the shield. Ashe shield actually was pushing out just a little bit, of course, slowly, as it always does, to make sure he can provide some extra cover for that Barret. Still going to eat a lot of damage, and Stush Gaming are trying to take and pick and choose their fights very, very carefully. They've got to do time and space, of course, so Tob has been very, very quick on the trigger for this one, so of course he's going to be looking for any opportunity he actually can to hit somebody with it.
The Law doesn't connect on anybody, and I think this ult is really impactful for them. They needed to connect. Everyone very grouped up, disengaging from Flashpoints. Maybe they could find something through time and space, but they spread out. I think they realize the potential threat and disengage a little bit. Geno's definitely paired with two of the best tanks for him, I think. Barrick and Ashe, two tanks in different roles with very strong self-sustain. Powerful there, and they use the Fae Flight to push them back even further. Legacy caught out just a little bit, but now they're clumped, but not fast enough. On the trigger is Thompson, and everyone at Flashpoint gets to walk out safely.
I mean, Khan is able to eat a little bit of damage, but of course, it's already been healed back up. Now the Leon is really just looking for some opening shots. Has to use the Enlightenment, knows that Lex is on the side, but of course, he was a little bit too full of health. Couldn't actually burst him down or one-shot him like he may have been trying to, or at least lower the health pool for him. They're going to be able to put the aggression on him, a good hook as well. They're going to be able to follow up the kill. And, I mean, Flashpoint, they're able to get this counter zone going. I mean, they were able to push the payload in. Stush Gaming, they've got 50 seconds left. If this zone goes on for long enough, they won't be able to make it back to point.
This is actually really tough timing for Stush, too. There's not a lot for them. If they lose this next fight, I don't think they even really have a chance to retake it. Good Lad barely does not get away, chased down by Nico, and that's what Stush needed for sure to be able to equalize here. Now they can get into their aggressive positions again. I can even see Nico just fluttering onto above the choke and going in with Ailong if they really want to get this point, but we'll see how safe they decide to play it.
Skeppy, of course, on the side. Once again, keeping an eye on this Ashe to make sure she actually cannot get any sort of aggression. He's had the overpowers ready. He has commander grab like those ready, and he's just been able to pick off this Ashe. But in this case, he's going to be the one that actually is going to end up getting picked off. They're zoning him out just a little bit. They're finally able to come back to the point to at least contest. A good hook from Good Lad is going to find a pick onto the Willow, though.
Not sure what they're going to be willing to use here. Probably nothing, realistically. Good Lad gripped after using dash to rotate back to the point, but Furia heals him just in time. Storm Avatar in a great position there, and no backline, though. Up for Flashpoint to be able to constantly spam. Inflame now defensively used means this is going to be very tough for Stush to keep going.
Exactly. Skeppy, Storm Avatar, Skeppy again, finally Prosper Logic. They're able to clean up those kills almost instantly off the back of Inflame, but of course they don't have that going into this round. So that's going to play a pretty big role coming into this next mid-fight. Flashpoint is 3-1, so Stush Gaming still has that comeback mechanic. At the same time, it's really just going to be a matter of who's going to be able to get the first few picks to try and find their opening.
Honestly, I feel like Stush, if they're going to win this game, it's going to be very long. It's going to be Stush win the mid, can't push, win the mid, can't push, win the mid. I feel like that's where it has to be because they don't really have a traditional backline to stay all the way back like Prosper Logic was and apply pressure during Flashpoint's offense, right? They have the Willow, but you can kind of dodge the shots at that range when you're that far away. You'd prefer your Willow to be just a little bit closer, definitely more of a mid-range, unless you're explicitly spamming someone around a corner. So it's going to be tough for Stush to push. They're going to have to find a way to make these mid-fights work for them. And an aggressive start by Flashpoint, but Hook missed. They're not really able to find too much off of it.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 4 ultimates up, though. They still got plenty of uses there. Dome Shield just to make sure Inara does not even think about coming back to point. But Nico's going to get picked off by Prosper Logic. That's just the power of Leon being able to make sure she can focus down those targets. And you see it right here.
70%.
Especially 70%. Yeah, you're 100% right for Stush Gaming. No one else on Flashpoint has really been able to touch the point. That Dome Shield from Inara, I mean, not a Dome Shield from Inara, Dome Shield from Barrick is able to zone him out, but we already see that 4 kills for Flashpoint already. If they get a good enough zone, they could just end it right here.
Possibly, and they have Leon, one of the best dismounters in the game. Second, I think, only to Ruckus. Everyone's basically already knocked off. Willow might have to use, she doesn't even have Faith Flight. Flutters up, everybody's knocked off. Seismic Crash goes in, just slows them down a little bit. They're gonna have walls and waters fields in the way. Looks like someone made it around the back on their mount, but how much time could they possibly buy?
Exactly, I mean, they've got the execution. They have the fact that Lex can be able to pick off some of these high health targets if they enter within that threshold. At the same time, he's going to make sure that he actually runs in, tries to deal with Inara, but she's going to be able to back out fast enough to where she actually doesn't get focused. She's going to go down, but you still got 2 more frontliners to deal with.
The frags are still trading back and forth now. Good Lad contesting the objective. Just Aelol the contested though. Ashe, this is definitely her weakness, staying alive in one specific spot. Plus Inflame coming in. That's so much overwhelming damage against Aelol.
Oh my goodness, you see him get burned down without any say in the matter. They're going to be able to pump plenty of his targets full of healing. Keep him going 3-1. It's going to more so be looking like 4 to done in this case. Jaguar falls. Flashpoint taking it 3-1 over Stush Game.
Definitely the Flashpoint we were expecting to see. And I thought Stush might have been able to take that objective at the last moment. I didn't know whose overtime it was going in because of who was dying on the point. When Nico fluttered in, I was like, is he about to just snag this away in front of everybody on Flashpoint? But luckily for Flashpoint, it was their overtime. He wasn't able to restart the OT, or at least end it immediately in that sense. And Triple Tank, it paid off. I mean, Stush basically had to win those mids because I didn't see them pushing across. And Ancient Rage is just such a good ultimate. So tough to, if it's used well, it's so hard to answer.
I mean, just on top of that, you have the Inflame that's going to be hard to answer as well. They're not going to be able to follow up how you would have wanted to, and you just see him get burned down completely. But of course, Prosper topping the damage charts once again. The man is just so good at his hit scan characters. Good Lad, of course, is going to be exactly like you were saying. The Mako is hard to deal with. Ancient Rage is a good ultimate. You have the execution at the same time. When you go 10-1, clearly the man was feeling comfortable.
Yeah, when we talk about why Makoa gets banned so much, it's because when a Makoa is feeling themselves, when they're really on point, it's you just there's no answer. There's some you can pick. You can pick some really strong backlines. You can use Sky for that percentage health shred, but you're definitely sacrificing some effectiveness in the rest of your comp to be able to deal with them. It really is a risk every time you let Makoa through, and definitely a little more inconsistent Makoa is in the console league, but these are some of the best players we've seen play on the sticks, you know, and being able to hit these hooks so consistently really just reminds you how much of a threat he is and why he's been such a consistent ban for in years at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really argue with that, especially with the fact that he's just able to just snap his fingers and then he has all of his health back and then some on top of that.
Well, it's like a snap and then a beat.
Yeah.
And then another snap. Some people forget that. Some people think they're at 1 HP and then they use it. Just honestly, it's just to play the ult line at that point.
Right, exactly. I mean, once again, Makoa, clearly a good pick. Flashpoint, clearly a good team. 3-1 over Stush Gaming. They were looking great. Right after this break, we'll be right into the second set of the day.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Console League.